Today we are going to be talking about the Annexation of Texas. The Annexation of Texas goes along with TEKS 4.3 for 4th grade. It says that the student understands the importance of the Texas Revolution, the Republic of Texas, and the annexation of Texas to the United States. The Annexation of Texas also aligns with Competency 2 of the Core Subjects Teacher Certification Test for Social Studies. It states that the beginning teacher demonstrates an understanding of historical points of reference in the history of Texas, the United States, and the world. Examples are the Texas Revolution, the Republic of Texas, and the annexation of Texas by the United States. In order to understand the annexation of Texas, we need to understand the events that led to Texas being annexed to the United States. To begin, in 1820, what we now know as Texas was owned by Spain. The Spanish governor allowed Moses Austin, a citizen of the United States, to start a settlement in Texas. On September 27, 1821, soon after settlement begins, Mexico won their independence from Spain, and now Texas was a part of Mexico and not Spain. Still, Mexico decided to honor the United States settlement agreement. However, Moses Austin dies before he is able to complete settlement, so his son, Stephen F. Austin, leads the first 300 United States settlers into Texas. With this move, however, the United States settlers had to agree to follow the laws of Mexico. One of these laws was to worship the Catholic Church. Because of the massive cotton production due to the cotton gin, other United States citizens began following Stephen F. Austin into Texas, with hopes of growing more cotton and becoming rich. The people who moved into Texas were Protestant and refused to follow the law that forced them to worship the Catholic Church. They also brought their slaves with them in order to grow cotton, thereby breaking the Mexican law against slavery. In 1830, after growing tired of the Americans, the Mexican government, led by Guadalupe Victoria, decided to ban all Americans from settling into Texas. Despite the many attempts from Mexico to enforce their ban and laws, as well as their decision to tax American imports, Americans kept traveling and settling in Texas. After all the settlement in Texas, the Americans quickly outnumbered the Mexicans in Texas. In 1833, during all the settlement in Texas, Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna becomes president of Mexico, and soon after declares himself a dictator. The American settlers, along with some of the Tejanos or Mexicans who resided in Texas, did not like the fact that Santa Anna began a dictatorship, so they began to demand and call for a democratic government. In 1836, Texas, led by Stephen F. Austin, declared its independence from Mexico. They drafted their own Declaration of Independence, which was very similar to the one that the colonies wrote to England in 1776. Soon after Texas had declared independence from Mexico, a war erupts between the two. This war is known as the Texas Revolution. Santa Anna sends his troops to Texas in order to try to keep the territory. During this revolution, a very famous battle, known as the Battle of the Alamo, which took place in present-day San Antonio, erupts. 185 American soldiers and Tejanos were residing in a fort called the Alamo when the Mexican army invaded. They were able to hold down the fort for 12 days, despite being heavily outnumbered, before all soldiers were killed or executed afterwards. The soldiers' courage and grit inspired other people in Texas to fight. This led to the Battle of San Jacinto, where Sam Houston led a small group of people to a surprise attack on Santa Anna and the Mexican army. During this battle, the small army chanted, "Remember the Alamo," and were able to capture Santa Anna, therefore forcing Mexico to grant Texas its independence through a treaty known as the Treaty of Velasco. Now Texas is known as the Republic of Texas and is its own country, with Sam Houston serving as president. Texas wanted to be annexed, or added into the United States, but due to Texas having and allowing slaves, the President of the United States, Andrew Jackson, feared that by adding Texas, they would disrupt the balance of slave states and free states in the country. Due to this fear, Texas remains its own country for about 10 years. In 1845, President Polk of the United States negotiated a treaty with England over Oregon. This eased people's fear of Texas becoming a state because they knew that Oregon would become a free state and Texas a slave state. Finally, on December 29, 1845, Texas was officially annexed to the United States. The annexation of Texas infuriated Mexico, which led to the Mexican-American War. But that's a whole nother story,